Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Vanessa and I'm an author from Toronto, Canada, and I publish under the pen name A.N. Sage. I write fantasy, mystery, romantasy now, coming out in February, whole bunch of different genres in both the young adult and the adult space, and I have been both indie and traditionally published. So what I like to do on this channel is kind of chat to you guys about everything that I have learned along the way of having published nearing 30 books now and ongoing, and kind of everything that I like to use. Things that I like to do in my writing, tips that I've picked up from other brilliant writers and authors, and just pretty much anything that has to do with the art of writing or other creative kind of tasks, since we all know that if you're creative in one way, chances are you love to be creative in multiple ways. And so that's what I like to do on this channel. So if that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, then make sure that you are subscribed and that you hit the bell notification so you don't miss any future upcoming videos. Now, when I mentioned tools, I really meant it for this video because I have just gone back to a certain writing tool that I have not used in quite some time. And I wanted to talk about the 10 reasons that I decided to go back to it. And that tool is no surprise, as you've seen from the actual title and the thumbnail, but that is Scrivener. So a little background on my writing tools. As you know, I have tried every writing tool that comes my way that seems appropriate because I like to switch things out. I get bored writing in one space, in one format. And I started out writing in Word, as everybody does. And then, well, not everybody, but as everybody, I guess, of my age group does, because that's all that was available a very long time ago, back in the olden days when I was still young. And so I started with Word, and then Google Docs came out and I moved into Google Docs, and I've stopped using Google Docs. There was like some things I didn't like. I'm glad I've stopped using it now because of all the stuff that Google and Gmail is doing with AI and our written word, and I'm not a huge fan of that. And so I kind of am glad that that's done and over with. However, I miss the online capability of it always. And so when I switched from Google Docs, I switched to Scrivener, and I bought that lifetime license of theirs, and so you always have it, which was great. And I really, really liked Scrivener. I don't think I was using it to the best of its abilities. However, I really enjoyed using it. And then, shiny new things came out out there. I switched over into Dabble because it was kind of like Google Docs, but it was also like Scrivener, and I liked that I could write anywhere. Like I mentioned, I like writing on different tools, sometimes on my laptop, sometimes on my computer, sometimes on my phone, on my iPad, all these different, sometimes on my free write. So all these different tools. And I really, really liked the ability to quickly switch around. And Scrivener then, as it is still now, mostly connects by Dropbox. And back then, Dropbox and Scrivener, I don't know if they were not good friends, or maybe they were not good friends with me, but I sucked at it. I could not figure it out. It was always lagging. It always didn't transfer from one platform to the other. And so I switched over to Dabble. And I love Dabble. Dabble is all of these tools that I tried, I have really, really loved. There is not one bad one in the bunch. And then Dabble kind of, I was using it. I was really happy with it. And then I saw BYOK, Bring Your Own Keyboard, I believe that's the shorthand for. I did a review for both of these platforms actually on this channel, and I link both of them in the cards so you can see them. And so I use those. I switched over to BYOK because I like the split screen of it. And so I like the idea of being able to see kind of my Bible, and you could have like a proper Bible on there with links and all that stuff. So my Bible and my writing in the same place, and it was online, so kind of like Dabble. And so I really, really like that. What I didn't like about both Dabble and BYOK is the subscription portion of it, because I already have so many subscriptions, and it does tend to add up quite a bit. And the reason that I really like Word and Scrivener originally is because, well, now Word is also a subscription, so that's out. But at the time, they were both like a one-time buy kind of thing. And that worked really, really well on the wallet, right? So that was great. So I was kind of thinking about budgeting and figuring things out. And I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can go back to Scrivener and let me try it for just one project. And so I tried it for the City of Beasts, which is my romantasy Preorder that's up right now. So Gothic Romantasy, I'm super proud of it. I will also link that in the description. Shameless promo for my books. So yeah, so I really, really liked it for it, and I wanted to give it a shot. And I realized that not only was I not using Scrivener to its best capabilities when I was first using it, but there's like a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't know it had, or maybe didn't have it then and it has it now. The Dropbox thing has like really resolved itself. It's super easy to transfer stuff between devices now. I have it across like 5 different devices right now, so that's great. And so I decided to go back to Scrivener. It was a pain in the butt. I had to transfer a whole bunch of stuff. I had not transferred everything. I kind of think I'm going to I'm going to download everything that I have set up from the other books, and I've kind of transferred my working titles, like everything that I had on the go. I didn't backtrack. I didn't transfer previous books or did any of that. Those are published. They're done. I have the final manuscripts that went through billions of edits with editors and proofwriters and all that stuff. And so that's fine. I don't need to upload those also to Scrivener. And so I'm kind of starting afresh with it, with this fresh new series. And so I have my notes also. Can we talk about how cute this little reading ghost pop socket is? I got it at the Ignited Books event that I had a table at, and there was a company there that had them, and it's Twill and something. Completely, it's out of my head now. But I got this, and I got a shirt that says Reading Goose and a whole bunch of geese on it doing different book stuff, and it's so cute. It's like a little sweatshirt. I will link it if I am able to find. I'm sure I'll be able to find it, and I'll link it. But I just thought perfect for the upcoming spooky season. So I have my notes, and I have 10 reasons that I have listed of why I have switched back to Scrivener, and I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I really do feel like, when you listen to author podcasts and all that stuff for like big authors, I just listened to Lee Bardugo's interview, and she was talking about how she loves Scrivener. And so, I feel like when a whole bunch of authors are already talking about this platform, true tested, and it's done, it has to be good. So I'm going back to it. So the first one is the all-in-one workspace of it, which all of these platforms really have, and Scrivener has it as well. And it's, you can really use it just to write. You can use it to keep your research. You can use it as like to outlining terms. So everything you might want to use it for writing for a project, it has it. It's all in one. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the next point of why I switched back to it. It's the project organization of it. And so I really like the project organization of Dabble. I thought BYOK, it's a newer platform, so I don't think they've quite figured it out yet. So it had some hiccups. Dabble was pretty decent, but there really is nothing like, and the reason I really loved Scrivener before is the way that you can organize a project in Scrivener. It's just intuitive. It makes sense. The compile format of Scrivener is not intuitive and takes some fiddling. However, the actual project organization, how you can move stuff around, how you can create chapters, how you can create folders for your acts and things like that. And then Dabble and BOLK both have a version of it, but I feel like the way that they're created and labeled is not quite as intuitive as Scrivener is, because Scrivener is basically like a souped up Word document with all of these other features. And so I really like the project organization of it. I also really like it for my Bible, and I'll talk about that a little bit afterwards. But kind of piggybacking on the project organization, the next point that I kind of really drew me back to Scrivener all the time is that corkboard view. Now, I will say that Dabble has a corkboard plotter that is phenomenal, and I really wish that Scrivener could do something like this, because that would make it kind of like the best platform in my opinion. But the corkboard view in Scrivener is really, really nice in that you can see your outline for your chapters in corkboard form, kind of like you would on a wall, which is how I usually work with Post-its. I usually have like Post-its on the wall, and I move stuff around when I'm plotting. But it's the same thing, but digital, and so you can move them around in the same way. And I really, really like that. It's great, especially if you have a template set up. Like I found there were some really great templates for Save the Cat methods and stuff like that, and for Scrivener specifically. And so that corkboard view is a time saver from when you're trying to move things around as you're plotting. And I'm a big plotter, so that really works for me. But Dabble, I will say, so if you watch my video on Dabble, you'll see that the plotting in Dabble, that corkboard view is, out of this world. It's so good. It just makes so much sense as a grid, like it's called a grid plotter there, I believe. And it works really well. So that's the one thing that I think that will definitely has a leg up on Scrivener. However, Scrivener's corkboard view is OG, and I really, really like it. And then I was talking about how I really like to keep my Bible on there, and that's because I really, really enjoy Scrivener's like really robust research storage. You can have a lot of storage on it. There is no limitations, right? So for a lot of these files, usually if you're doing some kind of wiki and you're signing up for like a Notion, you're using Notion or a wiki builder and stuff like that, you would have a limit on how many gigs you could have, how many files you could have, like all of that. And then, if you want to add more, you pay more. Or like for like Notion, if you're on a certain plan, like your images can't be too large or you can't have too many of them. And that becomes really frustrating when you have long series. Like if you look at some of my series here, you can't see it off frame here, but Shadowhurst was 8 books and a novella, and it was a big world that took place between like our world here and the Fey realm, and there was like paranormal features and all that stuff. And so also sort of the lighting will be decided to start filming now in natural light in front of a window, but that does mean that it gets a bit sunny sometimes. So it'll be, the sun will be coming in and out and making me glow. But yeah, anyway, so you have a lot of files, you have a lot of characters. They all have images that go with them. I have maps, just general research. When I wrote Cartega, which I just finished the Kickstarter for, by the way, but when I wrote Cartega, like, look at this. That's a massive book. And it's a sci-fi book that's based on real research. Like I based the theory for the domes and the circulum system with the ring on the Dyson sphere. And so there's a lot of research that went behind it, and research that comes with case studies and different like diagrams and scientific research and all that stuff. And all that has to live somewhere. And so if I was putting it into one of these platforms that required you to upgrade every time you go up after a certain size, like I'd be spending like hundreds of dollars a month just to have a wiki or a series Bible, and in Scrivener, everything can just live right there. And the beauty of that it can live right there is you can actually take it, like I have for a long running series, I would have characters, world, like all that stuff in every book. And there's no limitations. I mean, the limitations of how much storage you have on your computer, but these days, the files are small and storage is large. And so what I do is I just copy it from one document into the next one for every book in the series. So when I'm writing, all of my research is right there. And so I really, really like that for it. I really, really like actually which I didn't use. These are things I did not use before. Now we're getting into the stuff I did not use that kind of made me be like, maybe I do want to go back to Scrivener. But the custom metadata and the labeling system and the tags and stuff in Scrivener, which I wasn't using before, is really great. So in Scrivener, you can actually tag like characters and parts of your world and magic parts and stuff like that and label them. And so when you're doing a search, you can do a search for a tag or a label or some sort of metadata that you've created, and it's easy to pull it out. And again, if you're writing in series, that's really, really helpful, right? Because you could find these tags throughout your document that you're writing. And I'm finding that really helpful, especially in the case of the Beasts of Hedge End series, which is the Gothic Romantasy. But the entire magic system there is based on these gems. Charts of these like pieces of gem from the original gems created, and there's 36 types of stones in total and 36 types of magic that these stones provide. And this is all like alchemical and created by an alchemist from back in the day. But to track the gems throughout and what they're doing, it's really, really helpful for me, because then I never forget what I said about a specific type of magic or a specific type of gem, and I never forget how much. So to use the magic, the cost is like a piece of your humanity. And so you keep giving up your humanity to use the magic, and the more useless human you become until you were like a big beast, basically, that is no longer human. And it's just ravenous and just terrifying all the time. And so to track how much it costs to use, because every gem has its own cost that associated with it, creates a different type of beast. So all of that, to tag that in a document, to be able to go back to it and search for those tags when I'm writing the next book, so I don't misuse information, has been very, very helpful. And then the other thing that I really enjoyed in it so far that I didn't use a lot of are the word counts and the targets. And I do remember using these a little bit back when NaNoWriMo was still, a thing to do. And I was using those word counts and the targets in Scrivener when I was in Nano. I was also using it in Dabble, because Dabble actually was connected to NaNoWriMo, your NaNoWriMo account, which was helpful for people who were using that platform. But I am really using that word count and the target word count now, because I have a target word count for the book, I have a target word count for the day, and then I can track my word count as I go. As I mentioned in one of my previous author chats, I have now gone back to work full time, and I work in film and television, which can become demanding, and but there's also bits of my day, like lunch times and my drives, when I can dictate, and kind of when I come home from work, when I'm not with my family, or pieces of time on the weekend when I can dedicate to writing. However, I have to be very strategic about my word count. So I have to make sure that I hit my targets, because I have less time to write. I don't write just all day long whenever I want to anymore. So I've been really utilizing the word counts and the targets in Scrivener. And they are, again, much like everything else I find in Scrivener, when it comes to the writing part, not compiling, to the writing part, it's very intuitive, especially in the word count, and the targets are very intuitive to use as well. Now, my next point is actually something that I am assuming Scrivener had all this time, and I was just a little bilbo that did not know that they had it, but split screen. The whole reason I was raving so much about BYOK when I was doing the review of that platform is the split screen capability. I'm sure if you watch that video, you know how many times I have oohed and awed about the split screen, because I like the idea of having either my outline on one side and my writing on the other, or my series Bible on one side and my writing on the other. While BYK has the option to, I believe, do they have 3? I think they might have 3. 2 is plenty sufficient. And Scrivener has split screen view. I had no idea that if you go under view and editor mode, you can split your screen either vertically or horizontally. And so the way that Scrivener is laid out, I don't know if you've been in the platform, but like I split mine horizontally. And so my writing, whatever I'm typing, is at the top. And at the bottom, I usually have either my outline, or I can open my series Bible and look at a character and figure out, what was their name? What was their last name? How do they behave? What eye color do they have? And, the jams and all of that, I can check right there. And I had no idea it had this. So this was like, as soon as I kind of, I'm like, let me check if maybe this is now there. And I believe it's always been there, and I just didn't know. But as soon as I read that, when I was doing my little research of switching over again, I was sold, right? Because that's amazing. And then the other one is that the cross-platform availability, which I really, really like. And it's not as easy as it is, obviously, a platform like Dabble or like BYOK. They are online. And so that's the part that makes it cross-platform. So you can open it online anywhere. However, you do have to be connected to the internet, which was kind of a downside. If you want to have it sync across that way. It was kind of like the free ride situation that I had. But Scrivener does have cross-platform availability. It's still dependent on Dropbox, so you still have to connect your Dropbox to it. However, what I did was I created a Dropbox that's just for Scrivener. I just opened a new free Dropbox account. I got the app, so you take your app from Dropbox and you just put it on your different devices and you sign in, and it just syncs. There's a Scrivener folder, and it always just syncs to the Dropbox, right? You just connect it. And before, it used to be that you have to go and click things and do all that stuff, but now it just automatically connects and syncs, because Dropbox has also gotten their shit together, I guess. And so it's very easy now to sync with the cloud and stuff. And so that is a solver right there, because I can really just go across multiple platforms. Um, and then my kind of like the final thing for Scrivener that I really enjoy. So I will say there is a bonus thing that I really enjoy, and we'll talk about that very quickly at the end. But the final thing that I really enjoy is the kind of the community templates and the templates that you can just get for Scrivener, because it's such a long running tool for writing. There's so many different templates out there. Again, like I said, like and you can customize your templates, right? So I like to kind of customize all my own templates, and so I get bored with different ways of plotting. So I try new things. I do always come back to Save the Cat, especially when there's fantasy involved. I find that really works for me. However, what I did for the Gothic Romantasy, for example, is I got a template, a free template that somebody had made, a really fantastic one and they're all like, there's different ones. So just see what kind of works for you. Download them. A lot of the people have them free on their blogs. So I downloaded that template. And then I also downloaded the template for Romancing the Beat. And then what I did was I took parts of Romancing the Beat, because Romancing the Beat, if you've kind of deconstructed and read the book and figured out what the actual plotting is, Romancing the Beat is Save the Cat, but with romance. Like, it's literally the exact same structure, but for romance. So they'll prompt you with different things to use for romance, like the meet cute and whatever the midpoint would be for romance. And so I took those notes and I added them to the notes on the Save the Cat platform, and I've created my own romantasy kind of plotting guide that I'm now using for my romantasy books. And so you can do stuff like that. You can create your own templates. You can get like community templates. You can buy templates. People are selling some really intense templates for Scrivener, for all the different types of plotting. You can get templates for the visual. So if you want to have like a dark academia look to your Scrivener, you can buy dark academia, like kind of skins, I guess they are in a way, but themes. So you can buy a dark academia theme, you can buy the woodland theme, whatever you want to get to, or find them for free too. People make them for free. And so there's so many different ways to customize it. And I really like that for it. Whereas with something like BYOK, which was very minimal, and I also really liked, and Dabble had its own look. Like, those are very set, right? You can't really get, I guess Word and Google Docs, you can get themes, but you, for the most part, for most writing intensive platforms, let's put it that way, you can't really custom it. They are what they are, and you kind of have to deal with it. So I really like the template part of it. And then lastly, my bonus thing of why I switch, and I kind of mentioned that before, is the price point, right? It's a one-time buy. You get lifetime license. I don't remember what it is right now, but I can probably look it up as we're talking. But you do pay for this only one time. You have it forever. You don't have to have a monthly payment, which is amazing. Yeah, so it's a one-time purchase, and it's a very reasonable one-time purchase. So let's see. Of course, AI is like the first thing that pops up. But it's literally, yeah. So for the iOS, it is for iOS and iPad. So that's the one thing with Scrivener is if you're going to use it cross-platform, you do have to buy one for, like, I have a Mac, so I'll talk in Mac terms, but it works the same for PC. But for my MacBook and my iMac, it's one type of download file, so you pay for that. And if you also want to put it on your iPad and on your phone and stuff like that, it's another price, but it is a one-time price still for all of these. So for the iPad, it is a $23.99 one-time fee, and that is it's weird, it's telling me like a US price, but for some reason for the actual Mac it's telling me Canadian. So it's about like $60 in Scrivener. So there's also educational license if you're a student, but standard license, lifetime license, is about around $60 US. And the iOS, which is the app version that I have on my phone and iPad, is $23.99. Which, again, when you add those two together, yes, it sounds like you're spending about $100 to have a thing. However, I will be spending double that, if not more, on some of these in monthly fees every single year. This is just one time. So that was kind of one of the main points why I switched, because Scrivener, while the compile form is really annoying and I really hate it. Like, just export my stuff, why do I have to jump through all these hoops? But while that is annoying, you really can't beat the price. So it does everything else that all these other things are doing. And it's a one-time fee, right? So that's kind of why I went back to Scrivener. I don't know if that helps you guys. If you're thinking about Scrivener and you've been on these other apps, or you're kind of trying to find an app that you're going through, like I said, I will link my videos on Dabble and the BYOK app as well. And then maybe if I have some older, I probably have older Scrivener videos, so I'll link those. But I will do an updated, if you want me to, I will do an updated Scrivener video of the actual platform, so you can see how I use it, how I have it laid out, what themes I've downloaded, and things like that. So do let me know in the comments if you want to see a Scrivener walkthrough of my Scrivener kind of setup. So I hope that was helpful. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you've subscribed, you're awesome. Thank you. I am back. I was kind of away for a little bit, and so I upload these every 2 weeks, and then I had to skip one of the weekends because we were gone for a few weeks, and it's been a hectic September. But I'm back now, and so we're back to our regular scheduled programming. So with that said, I'm not going to babble anymore, and I will see you for the next one. I hope you stay magical and happy writing, everyone. Bye.